in 1916 at Beverly Hall. And I quote verbatim, and you had better listen because this is the source of your teachings. And it will be the hard core of the New World religion. It is already pervasive in the New Age movement, and it is very easily checked. I quote, "The source of the mystical teachings of the New Testament could offer no other interpretation of the symbolism of the young republic than the ancient pyramid, its copestone and glory, significant of the descent of the New Jerusalem for the one side, and the eagle and the ever-repeating 13 of Manasseh, 13th, or lost, torn away tribe of Israel, and the son of Joseph, the Britons, who was separated from his brethren in Egypt in the parting asunder of northern Israel from southern Judah." Now, historically, Judah was never a part of Israel, and that's why they say here, northern Israel from southern Judah, because Judah was never a part of Israel. And if they made it sound as if Judah, a part of Israel, separated itself from the whole, then they could be found historically incorrect, so they tell the truth. The parting asunder of northern Israel from southern Judah, never again to become part of Judah, and the first to cross Europe in the search of the legendary isles afar off, to reestablish the ancient Gentile throne of Israel at Tava in Ireland. Now, it is significant that they separate the name Israel into 3 syllables, Is-Ra-El, with dashes. It stands for Isis, Ra, who is represented as Osiris, and El. El means God. The hitherto rejected reverse side of our Great Seal is now in full view of these United States. It is to remind the people that from the beginning they were called to a great work as offspring of a mighty Manasseh, whose history began in Genesis and will culminate in America, and by whose stripes the world must be healed and will be healed, despite the many and inglorious betrayals of those who have set themselves up as the leaders of the peculiar people of the eagle. The legend tells us that Joseph, betrayed, as we have often been, and cast off by his own people, married the daughter of the priest of the temple of On in Egypt. Now remember, if you've listened to this program, you know that On is another name for the sun, or Osiris, or the light, or Lucifer. They're saying that Joseph, as the legend tells, and it is a legend, it is not historical fact, never was and never can be, for it is a lie. The legend tells us that Joseph, betrayed as we often have been, and cast off by his own people, married the daughter of the priest of the temple of On in Egypt. Today, as an eternal symbol until the time of the placing of the copestone upon the pyramid, one pillar of that ancient temple stands in London while its mate stands in New York. It is the Phallus of Osiris, the obelisk. There is also one in the outer courtyard of the Vatican, and one stands in Dealey Plaza. One also stands on the estate grounds of the Priory de Sion, or the House of Sion in England. These are vivid and should be constant reminders to us of our unbreakable connections with ancient Egypt and with Europe, and our father Joseph as an Anglo-Saxon culmination. As a result of this union, and between these 2 pillars must all the world, in biblical language, pass into Ephraim or Shiloh. Professor Tutton, an eminent symbologist, understood these ancient mysteries fully and indicated this in his statement, quote, "The whole Bible is written in the stars, both the law and the gospel, while esoterically the entire story of man is set forth upon the Sea of Manasseh. The obverse side is Israel, under the new covenant. As the hope and outcome victory of Christianity, the 2 sides reflect each other and cannot be separated," unquote, and that is the meaning of the new covenant that Clinton espouses. For he also is a member. This was displayed dramatically in the photograph published worldwide, where he stood in the Oval Office holding up a single red rose. Castro has been photographed holding up a single red rose, as has been Gorbachev, the leader of France, and the Queen of England. There is a possibility of England's betrayal, and by forces within, in which event America would be compelled to stand alone. This possibility, probability, was clearly indicated in the poem ascribed to Merlin of King Arthur's court on the constellation of the 13 stars. And we'll get into that right after this break. Ladies and gentlemen, you see, this country has been betrayed by the Tories, who never wanted to separate from England in the first place. The body of the Illuminati around the world are working toward one world government, and if this Anglo-Aryan faction has its way, they will rule the world through a council of elders. If the Vatican has its way, the Pope will sit upon the throne of the world. Backing up one paragraph, I quote again, "There is a possibility of England's betrayal and by forces within, in which event America would be compelled to stand alone. This possibility, probability, was clearly indicated in the poem ascribed to Merlin of King Arthur's court on the constellation of the 13 stars. Here they attribute truth to legend. Supposedly, Merlin said, quote, 'When the cock shall woo the dove, mother and child shall cease to love. When the cock shall guard the eagle's nest, the stars shall rise in the west. Then 7 and 6 shall make but one, the lion's might shall be undone.'" Here they attribute to a mythical figure, Merlin, a prophecy which they say is being fulfilled in the world. Quote, "When the cock," or France, "shall woo the dove," which they say is America, "mother and child shall cease to love." In other words, rebellion of her colonies against England. "When the cock, France, shall guard," in other words, France's aid to the eagle's nest, which is the United States or America, "the stars," which they say are our constellation of 13, shall rise in the west. Then 7 and 6 shall make but one, e pluribus unum, is their interpretation, and the lion's might shall be undone. This prophecy has been rapidly coming to pass since the Second World War. The English, the Anglo-Saxons, have permitted enemies within her borders, many of her own race, to gain control of her finances and institutions and replace what might be correctly termed Druidic Christianity, and that's exactly what it is. It is a perversion of true Christianity. In fact, when you hear what it really consists of, you will discover, ladies and gentlemen, that it is not Christianity at all, but the remnant of the old pagan Druidic and Germanic and Gaul-Pict religion mixed with a little mixture of Christianity, using this lie, this legend of Joseph, to make them into a master race. These are the same people who, just prior to World War II, attempted to turn England into an ally with Hitler. You see, Druidic Christianity is a godless atheism, really. They say, unless the English wake up, the lion's might will certainly be undone, and the old saying, "there always will be in England," will be proven unfounded. The stars upon our seal are set in the form of a 6-pointed star, or the double triangle, symbolic of the perfectly balanced man. After the downfall of Egypt, this was called Solomon's seal, and that is a lie. It was never called Solomon's seal until it was adopted by the Jewish people as their symbol sometime in the 16th century, ladies and gentlemen. They say, but the ages before that it had its place in the temples of the greater mysteries, and that is true. That's exactly where it comes from, indicating that the physical man and the spiritual man had attained equilibrium, and that the Son of Man had indeed become the Son of God. Now, bear in mind that that is not a reference to Jesus Christ. At each point of the star was placed the symbol of an order, which symbolized arcane wisdom. And because of the presence upon the altar within, no man might enter into the Holy of Holies, our innermost chamber, with safety to himself, save he who had attained to philosophic initiation. And that is the true definition of Solomon's temple within the Masonic lodges and the lodges of all of these other liars and deceivers. For the temple of Solomon that they discuss has nothing to do with the Christian religion or the Jewish religion, but lies within each of them according to their own definitions. I continue. The special or spiritual symbol of America, aside from the pyramid and eagle, is the white rose, identical